Tiamat. Tiamat, Tiamato, class name Beast 2, by Sudotsu, servo de classe besta que aparece nas grandes ordens do destino/grande ordem. One of the primordial deities in Mesopotamian mythology/Sumerian mythology. Before being called Tiamat, she was known as the goddess of beginning, the primordial sea, Namu. Along with Abzu, she was manifested from the Sea of Dawn, Reime no Omi. An ocean of void, Mu no Omi, that lies below the underworld of Ereshkigal, said to have once been under the administration of the god Enki. In Sumerian mythology, the gods were given birth from the pairing of Tiamat, who is the salt water, and Abzu, who is the fresh water. Afterwards, the gods, whom are their children, waved their banner of revolution against the primeval father Abzu and acquired supremacy over the world. At this moment, Tiamat gently approved the deeds of her children. It is proof that her love for her children has won over her love for her husband. However, the gods pointed their blades even at Tiamat, their mother. Tiamat, in her grief and disorder, gave birth to 11 magical beasts as her new children, and they altogether had a showdown with the gods. At the end of the conflict, Tiamat and her 11 magical beasts were torn apart. It is said that the gods tore up her corpse into two, forming heaven and earth from it, and thus, had established the ritual for the creation of the world of man. Tiamat was a womb discarded after the Genesis, becoming the origin of Sumerian mythology. She was turned into a mother sea, and was put to use as a breeding ground to produce life, but once the Earth's environment stabilized and after the ecosystems were established, she was banished to the world of imaginary numbers, Kyosu Sekai. A world on the reverse side, Uragawa no Sekai, an imaginary space that has no life and is not even a parallel world, as something unnecessary. Seeing that the ecosystem was already established, there is no need for her, one who designs life randomly, and it is said that regarding the course the life forms who acquired intelligence conforms to, she was nothing but an impediment by now. Hereafter, Tiamat has been waiting in the mirror world for a chance to return back to her original world. Appearance. Owing to Tiamat's authority over the Sea of Life and her capacity for self-modification, she is capable of freely remodeling her Saint Graph, and therefore is unrestricted to any of her alternate forms. Femme Fatale. Unleashed. Draconic Corpus. The black mud of the Sea of Life is also included in Tiamat's height. Her height matches the area of the Indian Ocean. However, given that the mud is made up of imaginary numbers, her weight cannot be measured. Essentially the same as zero. On the other hand, its volume grows to be infinite. In short, it is a four-dimensional pocket. Personality. Something like a personality cannot be confirmed from her. Whether Tiamat has lost her ideals, or whether she has no reason since the beginning, it can be interpreted as either way, but one cannot surmise the reason. Although she simply birthed, raised and loved her children, which was viewed as her only meaning in life, she has set out to fight against humanity, of whom they decided that for the sake of denying this meaning, they have declared, "You are not needed." Her behavioral ideology when becoming a beast is extremely simple. She runs under the extremely primitive system of, if I do not kill humanity, I will be killed. Concerning Tiamat's motivation and attitude towards the master, she is one of 7 billion humans, naturally a target for obliteration. As far as human beings are concerned, Tiamat is a repulsive aggressor, invader, but concerning Tiamat too, human beings are terrifying aliens, extraterrestrials. Because Tiamat cannot converse, her pronouns are unknown. In the Babylonia anime, Ritsuka Fujimaru during the final battle against Beast 2 encountered a mental projection of Tiamat in her first form. Somehow she was able to create a mental connection to him. Tiamat lamented that her children used her as a stepping stone, leaving her behind, and that all she wanted was to be by their side. After asking if her love was wrong, Ritsuka chose not to stab her like her previous children, the Sumerian gods, and instead told her that her children loved her and that they had to get going. In other words, he thanked her for a mother's love as humanity grew up, but now that they were adults she had to let them go. Please don't leave me. Please never, love me again. In the end, Tiamat asked Ritsuka to not leave her behind and that if he, humanity, had to do so, to not love her again. Abilities. Tiamat is said to be an evil, Chaldea can't even imagine, and a great demon that may even surpass the power of the king of magecraft as claimed by goddess Rangaminiad. On top of her firepower, strength, and endurance, Tiamat lacks the concept of death and can heal herself from the Sea of Life over time, rendering her virtually unkillable without being able to enforce the concept on her powerful Saint Graph. According to the corrupted Ushiwakamaru, only a noble phantasm capable of gathering all the magical energy of the entire era would be able to destroy the Sea of Life. In other words, only the bands of light in the sky can rival Tiamat. Even if her Sea of Life is completely destroyed, it will end up remerging from her body in a short while, such as after being destroyed by Piedra del Sol or after her fall to the underworld. Forms. Tiamat has 3 different forms, each with their own combat capabilities. The magical energy inside Tiamat varies in each form. Form: magical energy. Draconic corpus, in the underworld. 0,000,000 plus 18,180,187. Unleashed, wounded in the underworld. 0,000,000. Unleashed 900,360,230. Femme Fatale, powered up, 11,010,303. Femme Fatale 16,785. Skills. Class skills. Authority of the Beast, a rank and anti-humanity skill that enhances the skill holder's capacity to harm heroic spirits, divine spirits, and all organisms birthed of the mother's womb. This skill is held not solely by the second beast but shared amongst all the magical beasts birthed of her womb. Independent manifestation, B rank lends the capacity to manifest independently within the temporal reality. Within 7 days of manifestation, the Indian Ocean is smothered black, and Tiamat incessantly spawns magical beasts to the end of devouring humanity. However, as the body of the second beast is the ocean itself, it cannot make landfall. Therefore, the role of annihilating humanity is delegated to her children. At this rank, this skill is furthermore a declaration of the holder's presence across all of space-time and thereby grants immunity against existential threats by way of time paradox or the instantaneous imposition of death. In the 7th singularity of Fate/Grand Order, the second beast overcomes her restriction against landfall by use of self-modification, altering her horns into wing-like appendages and taking flight. Upon the eradication of the Sea of Life within her immediate environs by the divine authority of Quetzalcoatl, she is able to spontaneously regenerate her domain by dispensing tides of the black mud from the base of her feet. Self-modification, EX rank Beast 2 can remold her Saint Graph through her Sea of Life. She can expand the scale of her standard Saint Graph, Femme Fatale, to a draconic body, over 60 meters in height. In that form, Beast 2 is able to cancel any attacks ranked A++ or lower. Personal skills. Sea of Life, EX rank Tiamat's true authority, it's the sea from which life itself is sprung. Because the sea circulates the true ether that existed from the genesis of the earth, magical energy is infinitely supplied to Beast 2 while she is within the sea. The movement by which the Sea of Life extends its domain is referred to as the Chaos Tide. The substance of the Sea of Life is a black mud pollutes that Saint Graphs and that fundamentally remakes any organism that enters unto the sea as a child of Tiamat that bears an arbitrary selection of the following skills: environmental modification, environmental fusion, and unit mitosis. Furthermore, the children of Tiamat are imposed with a cellular level Geis, a nitrogenous base contract, that automatically renders them enemies of humanity. Servants are no exception to the process. The weight of the black mud cannot be measured due to it being made of imaginary numbers, making its volume unlimited. In short, it is a four-dimensional pocket. In the 7th singularity of Fate/Grand Order, Kingu refers to the sea as the primordial organism and the Sea of Chaos, further stating that, amongst practitioners of magecraft, the black mud is the substance referred to as the mud of the Grail. Self-seal, C++ rank a chain of self-mutilation that ties down Beast 2. Although Beast 2 hated her grief of being banished for, not being needed anymore, by the collective unconsciousness of humanity, the depths of her consciousness accepted that as something inevitable. Beast 2, who has the role, Mother, as her foundation, possesses a desire to function as a patron of humanity to the very end. This self-sealing is something that became that form. Beast 2 constantly seals herself. This self-inflicted pain is equivalent to giving herself damage that deals 50% of Beast 2's current HP every turn. In the rare cases where Beast 2 emerges from the sea while losing her self-control, the seal admonishes her for this and the damage is raised to 90% of her HP instead for a moment. This is why she has +++ in this skill. Negagenesis, a rank a skill of the same variety as the 6th Beast's Nega Messiah. A manifestation of a conceptual bounded field, genesis of the earth, expressed within the proper continuity of the history of man, consequently proffering a nullification against the noble phantasms of any servants generated as an output of the above processes. Specifically speaking, a barrier takes root against the noble phantasms of servants with the attributes human and star. In the Babylonia anime, it is referred to as an authority that allows Beast 2 to create a new world by overriding the current one, similar to a reality marble. The barrier expands and denies all established forms of life, those whose lives are over and have died, allowing it to instantly destroy servants and even divine spirits like Ishtar while giving her space to create new life. As such, only the living are permitted to exist within the bounds of Negagenesis as their lives are not yet over. Only Ritsuka Fujimaru, new Lamu that are created within it, King Hassan and Foe are able to move in it without being destroyed. Monstrous Strength, A++ rank 1's ability as a monster. This skill raises the user's strength. It is at about the highest possible level. This is why Tiamat's strength is that of a giant when she makes the black mud into her body and manifests in her draconic body. At the moment, only Tiamat and King Protea possesses this skill at EX rank. Noble Phantasm. The form of her brain, which is her core, has nothing that can possibly be said to be a noble phantasm. Other capabilities. Patnia Theron. Due to being worshipped as an Earth Mother goddess, Tiamat had the power of creation that originated from the forgotten goddess of Catalhoyuk. This authority allowed Tiamat to function as a mobile creature factory that can birth millions of magical beasts from her true authority, the Sea of Life. By using the endless magical energy supply, Tiamat could create millions of llamas in a few seconds, with each of them boasting power on par with the magical beast Yugalu. The most powerful creatures she created were the Bel Lamu, who possessed magical energy that surpassed that of a demon god. Regression to the Age of Gods. Tiamat is able to reproduce mysteries that predate magic. By regressing to the Jurassic Age, Tiamat was able to use the Sea of Life to remodel her Saint Graph and transform into her draconic body form, which gave her the body of a god. Hypothesized capabilities. Paradox Restoration. Romani Archaman and Gilgamesh hypothesize that Tiamat's existence as the mother of Genesis renders as a law of nature the fact that she is the first to be born into the world, and the last to die. That is to say, so long as another life exists within the same world as Tiamat, she may be incapable of dying. Romani Archaman terms this capability paradox restoration, and for the purpose of neutralizing the phenomenon, Gilgamesh plots to entrap Tiamat within the underworld, Meikai, lit. World of Death, domain of Ereshkigal, making use of its nature as a world wherein the only life that is properly recognized to exist are those existences subjectively defined as the living at Ereshkigal's whim. Furthermore, as the domain was in part originally created to restrain and confine rogue gods, the sanctions of the underworld exert a strong anti-divinity effect by default, and would therefore hypothetically weaken Tiamat. In practice, however, it is unclear that paradox restoration is indeed one of Tiamat's actual capabilities, or whether the actions taken against her were in fact effective in neutralizing the phenomenon. Forms and alternate versions. Femme Fatale. After obtaining the Holy Grail that Goetia stored within the heart of Kingu, the Sea of Life initially manifests a human-scale body known as Femme Fatale, Famu Fataru. It appears as a woman with light blue hair clad in leg and arm restraints, with features that represent the planet, large horns that symbolize the land, and eyes that reflect the inner sea of the planet. Gilgamesh refers to this as Tiamat's cerebral corpus. It is suggested to represent whatever remains of Tiamat's mind or consciousness. Upon partial awakening, her cerebral corpus is stained in red and black in a manner reminiscent of dark sakura. Abilities. Without fully awakening due to being sealed, Tiamat is able to damage Chaldea's Sheba 02, 06, and 09 by causing spatial rifts all over Mesopotamia and birth over 100 million llama capable of spreading all over Mesopotamia in less than half a day. After receiving the Holy Grail, Tiamat is only able to manifest her cerebral corpus in the form of Femme Fatale, due to the seal still restraining her arms and legs. In this form, Tiamat possesses an ultra class magical reactor, Chochochokyu Marioku Rashin, core with 7 times the magical energy of a Holy Grail. When Chaldea finally faces her in the Persian Gulf, the magical energy inside her body is 16,785, and she releases from her body as much energy as a hydrogen bomb just by screaming. When she powers up, her mana rapidly surpasses 11 million. Romani Archaman also claimed that had she fired at that moment she would have blasted Uruk even from that distance. She is seemingly destroyed by Ishtar's and Gal Ta Kaigoshi. Unleashed. Following the annihilation of the cerebral corpus, femme fatale, the Sea of Life manifests Tiamat in the form of a titan, Kaioshin. Later demonstrated to be capable of flight by the use of her wing horns, Kakuyoku. Abilities. After voluntarily letting Ishtar destroy her body with Ngal Ta Kaigoshi, Tiamat restructures her Saint Graph into a megastructure post-dispersion, increasing its scale. With an authority that had not been seen since the era of Genesis, Tiamat also drastically increases her body mass. In this Titan form, Tiamat is said to be a perfect being with no physical or mythical shortcomings, with enough magical energy to travel between stars. Combined with the numerous primordial species preserved inside her body, Romani notes that Tiamat has the capacity to be an ark of the gods. In this state her mana reaches 900,360,230. Not even aliens would be able to take her down. Even if both Quetzalcoatl and Ishtar had their full-powered authorities and the help of any other powers left in Mesopotamia, they wouldn't be able to damage Tiamat. Tiamat boasts impressive durability, and even the combined efforts of Quetzalcoatl's Xiacotl and Gorgon's Pandemonium Cetus are only able to destroy her right horn without her main body taking any damage. In this state, Tiamat surpasses the power of any heroic spirit, as even the chains of heaven formed from Kingu's Enuma Elish was only able to momentarily restrain her movements before she broke them, even though according to Gilgamesh that feat was equal to any other in Enkidu's life, a being whose combat strength is roughly the same as that of Gilgamesh during his prime. It is theorized that only Gugalana, the greatest and strongest divine beast, would be capable of stopping her on her tracks for a day. Even at her weakest, wounded after falling to the underworld and receiving Ereshkigal's punishment, Tiamat's authority is still powerful enough to corrupt the underworld by spreading at an enormous speed, even though Ereshkigal is regarded as absolute law inside her domain and all deities are left powerless within it if she so chooses. Draconic Corpus. In the circumstance that Tiamat faces a severe threat, she enacts self-modification and Saint Graph dilation operations inflation, Reiki Bucho Kautine Furshin, to assume a draconic body, Ryutai, referred to as her true appearance. After the draconic body is imposed with the concept of death by the Old Man of the Mountain, Da Vinci confirms that Tiamat's Saint Graph core is situated within its brain. Abilities. Tiamat is able to grow her Saint Graph and reboot her magical reactor once more by regressing to the Jurassic Age, gaining the body of a god, healing all her wounds and manifesting her true form, draconic body. In this state, her strength is like that of a giant and she becomes immune to attacks ranked A++ or lower. She is no longer a divine spirit, but an actual god. Although Tiamat's combat capabilities and defenses are indeed the strongest upon assuming her draconic corpus, Jaguar Man comments that this is in reality Tiamat in her weakest, most vulnerable state, likely due to the underworld still restraining her authority. This is seen in her magical energy signature. In the underworld it had been reduced from 900,360,232 0,000,000. After transforming it only increases 18,180,187. Tiamat is ultimately defeated in the Babylonia singularity due to multiple factors. Mainly Merlin transforming the Sea of Life into flowers draining her power and King Hassan not only severing her wings but granting her the concept of death by degrading her Saint Graph into a normal servant Saint Graph pattern. These two attacks were able to weaken her enough so that the rest of Ritsuka's party could keep damaging her until Archer Gilgamesh ultimately dealt the finishing blow with Ea by destroying her weak spot in the head and therefore collapsing her Saint Graph. Larva. Larva Tiamat, class name Alter Ego, Aruta Ego, is an alter ego class servant summoned by Ritsuka Fujimaru in the Grand Orders of Fate/Grand Order Arcade. Personality. She is said to still be rather upset over her past defeat in the Babylonia singularity, but has chosen to set her grief aside for the sake of her children's continued existence. Abilities. Tiamat states her parameters in this form are limited, and that they are merely around the level of a very strong heroic spirit. Mash Kirilite is impressed by her standards and casually regarding herself as merely strong heroic spirit level. Her magical energy is not on the level of the regression to the Age of Gods even while going all out, and she states Nebuchadnezzar 2.5 surpasses her in that regard. If you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later, bye bye.